didn't even get to bronze.
The task was not an easy one, but the well-being of his village was at stake, and White Chun was ready to do anything to protect his loved ones from invasion. The stone sword crashed down on the remaining part of the squad with a roar, but someone from the soldiers managed to escape the young man's attack. Amidst all this action, a trio of travelers from Urim, two of whom were openly puzzled by what was happening, observed from behind one of the boulders nearby. The old man in the hat and the youth marveled at the strength possessed by White Chun, attempting to single-handedly defeat so many opponents, and, most importantly, succeeding. The white-haired man pondered how and where such a young man could learn one of the techniques kept in the strictest secrecy. The old man in the hat also deciphered the technique used by the hero in the battle with the third prince's squad. White Chun mixed several complex formulas into one, creating an effect of incredible strength. The men approved of the place where the young man decided to confront his guests. It provided many advantages over the enemy and allowed him to inflict damage to the maximum number of warriors at once. The old man understood that for such a technique, it was not enough to have knowledge in martial arts. One also needed to be a good strategist and able to calculate tactics. White Chun was exactly that, but his age misled those around him. Nevertheless, for such knowledge and decisions, the young man was quite adept. Soldiers from the squad stared fearfully at the hero, pointing at him, calling the boy nothing less than a demon from hell, and were eager to flee the battlefield as quickly as possible. The third prince did not expect his squad to be so cowardly in the face of the enemy. The man was angry. His soldiers were afraid of one man, not even the prince himself. The man ordered everyone to return to the battlefield and attack the enemy, otherwise, he would personally decapitate the fleeing cowards. However, his threats were not as terrifying as White Chun, who appeared behind the commander. The enraged prince yelled at the hero, not understanding how this villager dared not to bow before the greatness of the third prince. White Chun concentrated energy in his hands and said that strength and power do not save a person's life. The young man pointed his palm towards the prince and continued his speech, saying that before coming here, he had to think twice, but now it's too late to waver. The hero looked closely at his opponent and lifted a massive sword-shaped rock from the ground with one hand. The strength of the young man was impressive. The prince and his entourage froze in fear. They could not believe that everything would end so senselessly. The youngest of the travelers began to speculate on White Chun's actions. The young man managed to defeat 100 warriors and the third heir by himself. He compared the hero's strength to that of the Shaolin monks. The traveler was confident that possessing such power alone, White Chun would leave a mark in the history of martial arts. The white-haired man pondered whether he could survive today if the situation was such that the young man didn't welcome uninvited guests. Suddenly, the men saw a strange aura of power in the distance, causing goosebumps to run over their skin. The ominous tendrils shimmered in bright red, genuinely intimidating. Meanwhile, White Chun strolled forward unhurriedly, seemingly having almost depleted his inner reserves. The travelers carefully observed what was happening in the clearing, and the youngest among them wondered why White Chun needed a horse. Perhaps he decided to escape, sensing the ominous aura. The hero directed his hands towards the horse, employing the technique of life force absorption. The horse sensed something amiss and wanted to flee, but the young man held her with his power. She gave all her energy to the man and fell to the ground, lifeless. The trio of travelers today witnessed the hero's power from a new perspective, and they were amazed at what they saw. The hero knew he was being watched and waited for the travelers to stop hiding and come out into the clearing. Turning towards the men, he ordered them to come out of hiding and explain themselves. However, it was Indu who responded to his call, noticing that the hero's skills were far from those of people born and raised in the village. Although this didn't bother the man himself, as he came to avenge his students, whom White Chun had annihilated. For more disciples of Master joined the hero on the clearing, surrounding him. All of them had good potential and had faced opponents in battles before. Red Knight, Black Knight, Blue Moon, and White Moon, all of them were different from those the young man had fought earlier, and indeed, they were formidable warriors. White Chun thought that the longer he delayed, the worse it would be for him. There were only 5 opponents, and while they were strong, there were no invincible men among them. The hero was glad that the opponents immediately revealed their number because knowledge, in this case, was a direct path to victory. Red Moon didn't wait for the hero to start attacking and launched a flurry of throwing knives at White Chun. However, the hero skillfully evaded the attack, and the blade stuck into the ground right at White Chun's feet. The young man countered Red Moon, using his miraculous little ball, which was convenient for shooting at opponents. Each warrior had their own weapon, and White Chun never regretted choosing a small convenient stone instead of a cumbersome sword or daggers. Red Moon couldn't understand what the attack was. Something tiny was flying at him, and that was the most surprising thing. Could the hero think of defeating him with this? Minutes of hesitation cost the man his life. He received a powerful blow from the ball to his forehead and fell to the ground. Blue Moon was angry. He believed that such an end for a warrior was disgraceful. It was more dignified to fall by the sword, so he rushed at the opponent with his massive sword. The hero didn't wait for the attack and prepared another surprise for the opponent. White Chun hurled an iron ball at his opponent, materializing it from the air before the eyes of his enemies. The teacher shouted a warning for Blue Moon to be cautious. What the hero was doing was genuinely dangerous. Who knew how many balls at once he could gather from space? Blue Moon swung his sword, aiming carefully at the hero. He couldn't afford to miss and disgrace his mentor, who had taught him so much. White Chun, on the other hand, shot another projectile at the scoundrel, his appearance completely focused. Blue Moon didn't even notice how the attack happened. Something tiny flew towards him. He stood with his raised sword, ready to strike and crush the opponent. His comrades tensed, watching the confrontation between their friend and the stranger they had to defeat today. The Murim spies, who observed the situation, widened their eyes once again. 2 of Indu's students had been defeated by White Chun's iron balls without the young man even touching them. The head of Murim's reconnaissance remarked that he knew the technique the young man was using, surprising his companions. The Ijisword technique was the pinnacle of mastery, where a warrior could control multiple swords with their energy without touching any of them. White Chun, however, replaced only one component in the formula, the type of weapon. Instead of blades, he used iron balls. In any case, the Ijisword technique required a lot of energy, and the man became curious about how long the young man could hold up in battle using this method. After all, there were 3 more opponents, and all of them were strong. Indu was furious. Some kid had previously annihilated 4 of his students, and now, before him, 2 more were destroyed. He was obliged to teach the audacious one a lesson. The man assumed a combat stance, and behind him, an energy cloud swirled ominously. His appearance was fearsome. At a single glance, it was evident that the master possessed strong energy and excellent endurance, much greater than his students. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave comments to help the new video come out as soon as possible. Have a great day. Didn't even get to pause.